Welcome back to Mean Streets, a podcast where we investigate the best, worst, and forgotten movies of film noir and more. I'm Luke Deckard.
And I'm Matthew Booth.
And today we're doing something a little different. We're bringing you guys a special investigation. There are two shows that have just premiered, and we thought, hey, let's talk about their premieres. What are we doing, Matt? Which two shows have we got lined up?
The two shows we've got lined up are Ballard, the Bosch spin-off based on Michael Connelly's books, and Dexter Resurrection, which
indeed
I think needs no more introduction than Dexter Resurrection.
It's true.
Obviously, it's the latest series of the Dexter TV show.
Yes, the Dexter Morgan saga that we thought was over. We thought was over, but lo and behold, it's not. There's still
nothing's over in TV and film world these days.
No. But we thought we'd start with Ballard because we have less to say about Ballard, for better or worse. We have less to say about Ballard, but before we dive into Ballard, what's your history with Bosch, the TV series, not the books? We don't need to dive into the books, but did you watch Bosch? Did you watch Bosch Legacy, Matt? What's your history with Bosch?
I've not seen Bosch Legacy, but I watched Bosch. Yeah, I watched Bosch. Yeah. Like a lot of these things, but real life gets in the way for me sometimes, and I lose track of these endless, what seem to be endless TV shows and reboots and whatever, all the rest of it. I'm a big fan of Bosch. I think Bosch is absolutely superb. It's a rare example of a series or a screen adaptation, let's put it that way, to encompass everything, of a series of books that I admire. I think the Connelly's Bosch books are great. And this is a rare example of a screen adaptation doing that source material justice. Well cast. Yes. I forget the name of the bloke who plays Bosch now.
Titus Wheeler.
Titus Wheeler, yeah. He is just sometimes a role and a character click, and he is one of them.
He is iconic as Bosch, for sure.
Yeah. So I watched all of. Like I said, I've not watched the Legacy, whatever it's called, but I've watched I watched Bosch the original Bosch, let's call it that, and thought it was great. Loved it.
Yeah. I came to Bosch quite late. I think maybe 3 or 4 seasons had been out at that time when I finally watched it, and instantly fell in love with it. It was dark, it was gritty, it was neo-noir. It was like, this is exactly what I want from a cop show. Like, Bosch he's fucking awesome. I thoroughly enjoyed Bosch. Legacy is strong. Legacy, I don't know the details of why Bosch ended and they did Legacy, because it went from 1 year is the end of Bosch to the next summer is Bosch Legacy, so there's no big gap. Amazon were doing this freebie thing where they had this streaming service that had ads, and I think they were really trying to push people to go and watch stuff there. And freebie clearly didn't work, because they ended it and assimilated everything back into Amazon. You didn't have to download a freebie app. You could still watch everything via Amazon Prime, the Amazon Prime app. So it was such a weird thing, and I think what they were trying to do was possibly two things. Bosch Legacy was probably meant to be one of its big hitting shows, but I don't know, but freebie just clearly wasn't hitting it off. I also suspect the show itself, Bosch, the original show, was probably getting expensive.
Yeah.
And if you do a new show and you cut all those old actors out, well, then you can make a new contract, and you don't got to pay them the same. You probably have to pay Titus the same or a little bit more, but you don't have to pay all these other actors who've been with you for 8 years. You can cut 90% of them out. You can keep 1 or 2, and then you bring your newbies, and it's a fraction of the cost probably. It's called
show business for a reason.
Yeah. I could be wrong. If you know the details, let us know. But that is my reading on the situation, because I don't understand. There for me, there was no real reason why they couldn't just carry on Bosch. He leaves the police force. He becomes a PI, and his daughter goes to work for the police. And because it just seemed weird that his daughter's in the police, but we very rarely see all the people that because she works in the Hollywood division. So I'm kind of like, why does she not ever see any of these other people?
Yeah.
And every once in a while they pop in, for a little cameo here. But yeah, it was a weird one. But I have to say, I love season 1 and 2. Season 3 felt rushed. It felt rushed and clunky, and I don't really understand what happened with season 3. It felt like they just wanted to get Bosch done and dusted and out of the way. And I feel like it was to do with wanting to push this new show Ballard and not have it have to compete with Bosch. Maybe I don't really understand it. I don't know why they couldn't run simultaneely, but
I don't either. I don't know.
Because in Legacy they have a backdoor pilot in the final season of Bosch Legacy, which commandeers the ending of the show, and it commandeers Bosch's conclusion. He actually doesn't have an ending. There is no sort of finite thing where you're sort of like, okay, well, this is the last place I see Bosch, and if I don't see him again, at least I feel some level of resolution to some stuff. There's none of that. The Legacy is left open with numerous plot lines that are never tied up. To the point to where we thought going into Ballard they would pick them up. And they don't.
Well, they don't, no.
At all.
I find that so frustrating.
Yes.
So frustrating.
Yes.
When, they set these things up for a reason. They set these storylines and plot lines up for reasons. And that is to give ongoing stories. You know what I mean? And those stories need an end. Otherwise, I find it so dissatisfying and unfulfilling.
Yes.
And you think, well, what happened to so-and-so? Where was he? Where did he end up? Or where did she go?
Yes.
And it's just so infuriating. I can't stand it. And it's becoming more and more common, I think. These shows that just end and there's with unanswered questions. I don't mind ambiguous endings. I certainly don't mind anything. I welcome things that make you think long after the credits have stopped rolling. But nobody's going to tell. No one sort of watches Mulholland Drive and knows what it's all about first time. So there's lots of questions to be asked. But leaving plot lines dangling, is borderline unforgivable to me.
Well, for a show that is coming to an end.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
It's not like they were setting it up for a series 4 and they were going to hopefully carry on. This there was no series 4 coming, so I don't leaving any kind of cliffhanging anything is like insulting to the audience. I don't get it.
It is insulting. Yeah, it is.
I don't know why they did it.
You can see the end line ahead of you.
Yeah.
And you know that's the end of the road.
Yeah.
You work towards it. You don't say, "Oh, this would be interesting and we could perhaps pursue it." You work towards that end point.
Yes.
Wrap everything up.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was I love Bosch. I love the actors. I love everything. I love a lot about Bosch Legacy, but it was the final season was clunky, and their introduction of Ballard didn't sit well with me. I didn't like it. She didn't come across as interesting or dynamic, and their back and forth just didn't. There wasn't any kind of sparkle there. And I was a bit sort of like, oh, you're introducing me to your new lead of a new show. And the end of this show, I kind of get it. Star Trek did it a little bit. When Deep Space Nine began, there was a Star Trek Next Generation episode that had some of the cast and then some of the Next Generation cast were in the premiere of Deep Space Nine. They did the same thing with Voyager. There's these little things you can connect the tissue and then it flows. This just didn't have that excitement for me.
It's
Yeah.
doubly insulting to me. You said before about insulting the audience. It's doubly insulting to me when you introduce a new character that you want to have a series of at the expense of finishing the story you're already telling.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And finish this before you start me with another.
Because they teased Maggie Q being in the Bosch Legacy for a long time. If she had been a presence throughout the entire series of Bosch Legacy season 3, I would have been fine with it. But they didn't do
story,
that.
Absolutely. Yeah,
they didn't do that. She came in like really late in the game, like a few episodes before the end, and the episodes basically just become Ballard episodes, and you're like, where's Bosch? What's happened to this Bosch TV show that I was meant to be watching? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's almost as if it's a child playing with a toy and it's lost interest in the toy it's got because it wants the one that's on the shelf.
Yes.
That's the vibe all this sort of stuff gives me.
Yes.
We're not interested in this one anymore, so we'll rush it because really we want to start getting Ballard underway.
Yes. Yeah, that
better
was
or worse.
Yeah, that was definitely the vibe. So Ballard, episode 1, the whole season has dropped. All 10 episodes are out now. Dropped July 9th, 2025. I messaged you and I was like, hey, why don't we watch the first episode and talk about it? Because I love Bosch. I was iffy on Ballard because of what they did with Bosch Legacy. But hey, let's give Ballard a fair crack. I mean, a solid cast. Maggie Q is a good actor. I mean, she's one of the people. She was in Mission Impossible 3. She's one of those people who I'm like, why did they never bring her back?
Yeah, absolutely.
I liked her in Mission Impossible 3. I don't understand. She would have been she was a cool agent. She was stunning in that red dress. Or not red dress, in that yellow dress, in that, I think it's a red Ferrari or something like that. My God, does that stay in my mind for the last 20 years. She's in other things. She has been a hell of a presence. And I thought, okay, she's cool. Michael Mosley. He's from Ozark and Castle and other things. He's a good actor.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's a good cast. It's a good cast.
Yeah. I thought, okay, well, we've got some stuff going on. We can enjoy some of these actors. Some of them I don't know. They're brand new to me, and that's always fun. You bring in new talent.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that at all.
Nope. But okay, yeah, fine. Now, then the show starts, and here's what's so funny to me. This is where I'm going to sound so hypocritical. I'm all for Maggie Q when she was in Mission Impossible, but in this, when I see her running down the road with a gun that's like twice the size of her, I'm sort of like, I don't know if I buy this.
Yeah, I felt the same.
And I know people are gonna be like, "Oh my God, you're so sexist." I'm sure there are small people who are cops and can do. But I don't know. I was like, okay, let's see what happens. But it's kind of like Maggie, not Maggie. What's Bosch's daughter's name? It just kept falling out of my head. You know what I'm talking about? Maddie. It's Maddie. It's Maddie. Maddie.
Jesus.
Even when she became a cop, I was like, You're like a toothpick.
Yeah.
Your partner, Maddie, is someone who looks strong, and it's a lady, and she looks strong. I'm like, that lady is a cop, yes. Or like you watch something like, Dexter, like the old Dexter, like Maria LaGuardia, like some of these people, I'm like, I kind of buy it. But then at the same time, Deb is tall and imposing, but she's also quite thin, but she's also strong. I don't know. I'm being ridiculous probably, but I just was a little bit you're tiny.
No, because the example I would pick is the Swedish adaptations of the Henning Mankell books, Wallander, or Wallander, as I think you meant to pronounce it. And Linda in that is the same. She is tough. She's not massive. She's not like, muscular or anything. She's a good-looking woman, and she's average size, but she is tough, and it's all in the attitude. Yeah, and it's all about how she conveys that toughness.
Yeah.
Whereas by comparison, some do look like they're in dress up.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, to balance this out, separate but equal, Tom Holland in that Uncharted film looks like a kid in his dad's adventure clothes.
Oh, he does. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
You know, so it gave me that vibe of like, I'm not sure if this is the right fit. I don't know. But I'll give you my opinions on this opening of this episode, this first episode. And I was so frustrated because it was plate spinning to the point where I didn't know what was going on 90% of the time. And an example of that is the opening scene starts with Ballard chasing some guy. You know, in general, as an action scene, it's a fun action scene. Chase him down the road, chase him into a laundromat. There's a bit of a shootout, blah, blah, blah. Nails the guy, fine. Then we move to her basement team where she's working on cold cases, and they have, I guess, put a case to rest by catching this guy. And then there's all this talk about this missing man and a baby, you know, a man who died and a missing baby, and she really wants to investigate it. And then suddenly these other two guys come in and they start talking about this other cold case with this guy's sister who went missing years ago, and you're a bit sort of uncertain if they're actually meaning that the woman is related to one of these two guys, or if she's related to someone else. And then the episode bounces back and forth between, are we focused on this missing woman, this girl who died years ago, like 20 years ago or something like that, or are we focused on this guy who died and this missing baby? And the show just kind of like spins these two, and I'm like, I can't focus on which fucking investigation am I meant to be focused on here? I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. I entirely agree with that. And what I was thinking was, you've got, is this 10 episodes or something?
It's 10 episodes long.
You've got 10 hours of screen time to tell this story. You don't need to give me everything in the first episode.
No.
You know, let it breathe. For God's sake, let it breathe.
Yeah.
Because whilst there's something to be said for excitement and momentum and pace, all the rest of it, pace doesn't necessarily mean quick. You know, let it breathe. Let it just gestate a little bit, and let me come to terms with the stories you're setting up. Because you're right, there's too much of it. You know, I didn't know what I was meant to be concentrating on, and then to the extent that I really stopped listening. You know, because I thought this is just now. I don't know who I'm. Apart from Ballard, who is the title character, I don't know really what I'm meant to be focusing on here. You know, so I started to zone out really badly.
Yeah, like when she goes to that nightclub and she goes there to recruit Samira Parker, played by Courtney Taylor. Yeah. I didn't have any clue what was going on. I turned to Claire and I said, "What are we talking about here?" And she's like, "Oh, I think this is to do with the missing baby in the man case." I'm like, "Is it?" And then she's like, "Oh, you know," Ballard's like, "Oh, Parker, come work with me. Come work with me. You're really good. You're really good. You're really good." And I'm like, "Why?
Why? Yeah, why?
Why her?" She says she has a stack of resumes on her desk. Why is this one the one that's special? And I guess you sort of had to piece it together a little bit in that she was the partner of this guy who worked for RHD, and he's a problem. We think he's a problem. I bet that's gonna be a fake out, and he's probably not a problem in the end. But you sort of really, and then you're sort of like, well, because then there's a scene where Ballard full on blasts this guy in front of Parker, says, "Oh, this guy, he fucking ruined my career. He ruined me, blah, blah, blah. I don't him. I don't trust him." And she doesn't respond to it.
No, nothing. No, that's right.
I was like, wait a minute. You just like, where's the response?
Yeah. Say something.
Lost in editing or what? I don't know.
Yeah. I agree with all that. It's too much going on. And I was like, I was thinking, why are we here? Yeah. Who's this woman?
Yes.
And the first episode is not when you should be feeling that, I don't think. You know, when it starts to get complex and it starts to go down its rabbit holes and the twists and the turns, then you can start thinking, "Oh, hang on, what's going on now?" Where you know, because that's part of the mystery.
Yeah,
you shouldn't be confused to hell about what is going on.
No.
Within 30 minutes of your opening episode, and that's where I was totally zoned out.
because that's the other problem is like, well, this is, I mean, as far as I'm remembering, this is Ballard is brand new to this running this team.
Yeah.
Like, there's your drama. Why did the show not open with her being canned, or being pushed into this job?
Yeah,
that's your opening.
exactly.
I don't understand why they just sort of went with this, running action scene. Like, you could have the whole. I don't know. I don't know. The setup was poor. I would say the setup was poor.
I think the setup was poor. I don't know if there was a desire to, hit the ground running with an action scene, but
there's always that desire.
I don't think it's as effective as people think it is.
No, I mean, I read books all the time that start with this big, giant, open action scene, and I'm like, well, you're doing this because you think that's what people need to be interested, but some of my favorite openings with books are very quiet openings.
Yeah. You look at a Raymond Chandler, the average Raymond Chandler book starts very, very prosaically,
Yeah, it's great.
Because the whole thing's meant to build.
Yeah.
And I agree. I don't need an explosion to have my attention seized.
No.
I'm quite happy with seeing someone just go about their morning routine and wondering who they are, and where they're going and what they're doing.
Yeah.
And I don't know what this obsession with having action scenes to start your film is all about, really.
Yeah. You didn't need it with this. I don't know. What I would say is go and watch the first episode of Bosch. Go watch that opening and compare this, then compare these two openings.
Compare the two. Absolutely.
And what the question in my mind is, who did they fire and who did they hire? Because everyone who was working on Bosch was on their game.
Yeah.
From production to writing to everything to acting, everything was each episode. There's not a single season of Bosch that I dislike. There's not a single season that I feel is like a dip, except for Bosch Legacy season 3. Everything maintains such a strong quality. I just thought, this is a serious dip that I don't understand unless it's a complete, I don't know what it is.
I don't know what it is either. And I read some reviews before we started, and I was amazed at how good they are, to be quite honest. I don't know if...
I'm not surprised, and I'm going to tell you why. Before you I'm going to interrupt you. I don't trust early reviews, and I'm going to use an example of Superman. I'm not going to talk about that fecking awful film, because it's bad, and I don't care. It's such a clunky mess, is all I'm going to say about it. But, in general, there are so many reviewers that are wined and dined by studios that I'm not saying they're buying good reviews, and I'm not saying that there aren't any reviewers out there that have integrity, because there are. Just go look at that 2-star review of Superman from Empire. But with Superman, for example, I mean, they took a bunch of reviewers ziplining across in Canary Wharf, across buildings. So they could fly across Canary Wharf. They did special screenings for people. You know what I mean? They sort of do this sort of wine and dine to build the hype, which I think compromises what a reviewer might say, because it's like when you hang out, it's like you go somewhere and you're invited to someone or someone's show, or so there's this added element of like, I'm having fun because I know this person, or they were nice to me, so I'm not going to say anything too mean because that would be rude. Which then it's like, well, where's the integrity of your criticism then? It's
Yeah, you should.
And so I think there will be a lot of people who throw out reviews. I mean, even Dexter Resurrection has landed with 100% Rotten Tomato review. We'll get to that in a bit, but I'm like,
get to that in a minute, but
yeah,
that's a bit of a giveaway.
You've been invited to premieres. You've been given all these boxes of goodies that you put up online and say, "Oh, thanks WB for sending me this stuff. Oh, thanks Amazon Prime for this goodie bag of things."
Yeah, I still think your show's crap.
Right?
I mean, well, maybe that's at play. I mean, it would explain It would explain some of the reviews that I've read. But my only sort of I don't know what the word is here. Caveat, is that the word? Is that I've only seen the first episode, and it might improve.
It might.
Whether I will be around to put that theory to the test, I genuinely don't know. I don't think so.
Well, if we judge us like old school TV, this is the first episode. You have to wait a week.
Miami Vice.
You have to wait a week for the next episode. Are you coming back based on what you just watched?
No.
Neither am I.
And I'm certainly not going to spend another 9 hours with it. They have an ace up their sleeve,
because according to IMDb, Titus is in 3 of these 10 episodes.
Well, yeah.
But which ones? How far do you have to go before you get to the thing you want, which is Bosch, which is the thing they shouldn't have ended?
You know what? Yeah, quite. And if I want to see Titus as Bosch, I'll just go and rewatch Bosch. Thanks, rather than sit through. Because if he's in the last 3 episodes, that would just finish me off, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. I mean, and it's not as if pilot episodes are necessarily always setups. Look at Miami Vice. We covered Miami Vice a couple of shows ago. That I was desperate to go back for more of that.
Yeah.
Because that's a pilot done well. I know it was over 2 parts, but nevertheless, that's a pilot done well.
Yeah.
Am I waiting a week? After a week, will I even remember this is on? Probably not. It didn't. You shouldn't be zoning out halfway through an hour-long pilot. That's my takeaway of this, and the fact that I did. Too much going on. Too much at once.
Yes.
Too much at once. Too much story. Too many characters.
Here's another question for you, and this is the last thing I think we're going to talk about with this one before we move on. Is how do you feel generally about Ballard's team? Because tonally, this is such a different vibe to the realistic and seriousness of Bosch's, Hollywood department. Here you have, I get it that some of these people are volunteers, so they're not police, so you can be a little bit more loosey-goosey with some of their behavior. But Rebecca Field, who plays a character named Colleen Hatteras, Jesus, take the wheel. There's elements of her that are kind of funny, but it's going too far. She's too bubbly, silly, zany, quirky nonsense for me to buy it. Like, there's a scene where she has that little statue on the desk, and she's like, "Oh, it gives me positive vibes." Now, I didn't mind that moment. That one, if that was the only moment that she did something, she was doing a little bit kind of out of the box, that could have worked. But her character comes across as so, oh, I just have these gifts. Oh, I'm just so happy. Oh, it's just like, oh my God.
Yeah. You meet these people in real life. I've met a lot of the people like this, and they're the sort of people who say, "Oh, you'll have to forgive me. I'm so crazy," and you think,
"Yes,
you're not.
You're so annoying.
You're annoying." Yeah, yeah. Because if you were genuinely like that, you wouldn't need to tell me that you were like that.
Exactly. Yes.
And she's one of those for me. She was one of those, and so I can't bear it in real life. I certainly can't bear it on the TV screen.
No.
And I had no belief in this team or anybody on it, really.
No.
And I realize, and it's maybe it's unfair, I don't know, but it's almost inevitable for me. All the time I kept thinking, I wish I was watching Bosch.
Yes. You're thinking, what is Bosch doing? He's out there somewhere. What is he doing?
Yeah, where is he? Because
what's Maddie doing? What's Honey Chandler doing?
Probably more. Yeah, what he's doing is almost certainly more interesting than this.
Yes, and he's probably just picking his teeth.
Yeah, yeah, eating his breakfast or somewhere in a diner. But maybe it's unfair to compare them. But I think you're sort of being asked to compare them because it's a spin-off.
Yeah.
So
it's fair to do. I mean, in the same way that people would compare Next Generation to Deep Space Nine to Star Trek Voyager.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the same world. So are you pulled in Are you pulling
you're being
along?
asked to compare them.
Yeah.
And my comparison is there is no comparison. There is absolutely on any level. There is no comparison.
Yeah.
Between these two shows, and one is infinitely superior to the other, and one I would watch again and again and again and again.
Yeah, because the other thing is you have John Carroll Lynch, who is the Zodiac. If you ever seen David Lynch's Zodiac, not David Lynch.
Not David Lynch.
Not David Lynch.
Fincher. David Fincher.
Fincher. God, yeah, that's it. Jesus, I was like, yeah. So
Lynch.
Yes, whatever those guys are.
Whatever.
Well, his name is Lynch, and I was thinking David, but then since David Fincher, it's not. Yeah. But you have Lynch in this, and he's a great actor. But my God, he's playing stereotypical fat, out of shape, retired cop who's eating donuts. And I know that they had those two old guys in Bosch whose names have just suddenly jumped out of my head. Not Crab and Goyle. That's Harry Potter. But you know what I mean. You know who I'm talking about.
I know who you mean. Yeah.
We'll call them Crab and Goyle because that's not the name. But you have they weren't playing it so schlocky.
No.
And this came across as juvenile. This came across as the person writing it and directing it only understood these tropes from TV shows.
That's it. Yeah. Because there are people
missing. It's like Star Trek Lower Decks or some of these other current Star Trek shows. They're written by people who don't write science fiction and don't understand science, and therefore it comes across as stupid. And I'm sort of getting that vibe here. I'm like, I don't think they have there's a level of weight that is missing from this, and it's just a little bit too poppy, a little bit too sweet in places.
I agree with that, and because there are retired cops like that, and there are ex-cops who go to seed or have already started going to seed before they retire.
Yes.
And it's a realistic trope. It's a believable trope. It can be an amusing trope, but it's got to be handled properly. And this is sort of, cartoon Harvey Bullock from Batman.
Yeah.
And it's a bit sort of, because in the animated series, Batman animated series, Bullock was always sort of comic relief for me.
Yes.
And that's what this is almost. And it's just a waste of an actor because he's a good actor.
Yes. And everyone is comic relief. That Colleen character is comic relief. John Carroll Lynch's character is comic relief. Michael Mosley's Ted is comic relief. Like everyone is comic relief. And I'm like, you realize
what are they relief from?
The only two comic relief people in all of Bosch really were those two old guys who sat in the back who were just waiting for retirement.
And if everyone is comic relief, what are they relieving you from?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, first episode niceties all being given, i.e. it might grow into something. I don't think I'll be around to see it happen.
Yeah.
I'll be putting Bosch back on and starting that from scratch. Because
I think
that's the service it's done for me, Ballard. Ballard has served a purpose for me in that it has made me want to go and watch Bosch again.
Yes. Well, I've in terms of a fair shake, I've seen her in Legacy, wasn't hooked. Seen this first episode, I'm not hooked. Will I watch more? I might find the episodes that Bosch is in just to see what they do with those. But am I watching all 10 hours of this? No. And sorry.
I almost don't want to see what Bosch does in this, because if he's as good as he was, and if they treat the character as well as they did, which I don't think they will, he'll seem like he'll jar with the rest of this from what I've seen so far.
We'll see. We have to see.
But proof is in the pudding, and
yeah.
It's just not a pudding I think I want to eat.
Yeah. I guess that's Ballard. Shall we move on to Dexter?
Yeah.
Mean Streets will return right after this. Who doesn't love a good boxing movie? Well, Steve Hunt presents the Boxing Movie Podcast. On each episode, Steve and his guests discuss a movie that has boxing as a theme. Do not be put off if you're not a fan of boxing, though.
Of course, he covers the likes of Rocky and the sequels, but the depth of boxing-themed movies across cinema history is much greater than you might imagine. Boxing Movie Podcast has covered the early works of Hitchcock, explored the world of blaxploitation cinema and the golden age of film noir, with episodes covering The Setup, Champion, and Stanley Kubrick's Killer's Kiss. You might not have previously considered yourself a boxing movie fan, but after listening to a few episodes of the Boxing Movie Podcast, you may have to reconsider that view. Find the Boxing Movie Podcast wherever you get your podcasts. If you love Mean Streets, join us on Patreon and get exclusive perks, insider access, and a chance to shape the show.
Depending on the tier of your choice, get early episode access, your name in the credits, and have your questions read on air.
You can help us choose films for us to review, unlock exclusive commentaries and reviews, and join our members-only YouTube Live Q&As.
So slip on your trench coats, pull your fedoras down, and join us on Patreon today. Yeah.
There we go. Dexter.
There he is.
Resurrection. The meat and potatoes of this discussion. So okay, like we did with Bosch, what's your background with Dexter? Because I brought Dexter up on our top whatever favorite detectives.
Yeah, you did.
Because I love Dexter, and I will defend Dexter as neo noir until the cows come home, because it is a neo noir. I don't really care what people say.
Do you need to defend it? Do people say it's
you
not?
never know? You know what people are like. You know these people.
Well, that's true.
You know. If it's not black and white, they don't care about it. Or if it's not smacking them in the face, then they don't understand it. We have those moments. We have
moments like that, I suppose. Yeah, I suppose. I will say from the outset, I am not as big a Dexter fan as you are, but that's not because I don't like it. It's because, and I mentioned this briefly before, real life got in the way. Sure. And I watched the first few seasons of Dexter, and it was then just one of those things that started to pass me by, unfortunately. Sure. So I approached Resurrection with the following in mind. Because I'm not up to speed on what happened in the later Dexter seasons. I thought, I'm not really going to understand what this... If this is picking up where something left off, which it is,
yes,
I'm not going to understand that. So I'm not going to watch it for that purpose. I'm going to watch it to see if this does what I've just said Ballard has made me do.
Sure.
Is this going to be good enough to make me say, let's go back and watch Dexter from season 1 so that I can get to this?
Okay.
So that's how I approached it. So we're going to come at this from different angles, but no less valid angles, I don't think. But it would be pointless for me to watch this from a story point of view, because I mean, there was a really good summary, so I wasn't left stranded. But the niceties of it, the nuances of it will have been a bit lost on me.
Sure.
So I was watching it for a different purpose, I suppose, and I'll tell you as we get going whether that purpose was served. Sure.
No, that I think it's a really interesting way of approaching this, because I have watched all of Dexter.
I knew that
from beginning to end, including the prequel series that's on Paramount as well, a Dexter Original Sin, which I'm not gonna lie, feels like the most superfluous Dexter series in existence right now. But I can maybe touch upon that in a minute. So Dexter, I am a big fan of the show. I like the books. I've been sort of rewatching earlier seasons over the last few months, and I've been rereading some of the early books. I just reread 1 and 2, and I have 3 on the go again. And I like this character. I like the story. They're vastly different in terms of the general narrative of what happens in the show versus what happens in the books. Book 1 is fairly well adapted in season 1, but then after that it goes completely in a different direction. Books and films do nothing that are remotely the same or in the same kind of vein. Seasons 1 to 4 of Dexter are so good. Very, very good. All the way up through the Eye Strike Killer through Trinity Killer are really damn good seasons. At some point, in the history of the original Dexter run, the original showrunners and creator Clyde Phillips left the show, and you can sort of feel that in the original show. I would say seasons 5 to 8 are a mixed bag. They're not unwatchable. They're still fun, but it gets a little repetitive.
Mm-hmm.
It needed to do something drastic, and it didn't do that in a way that was compelling. It did it in a way that ended up being really frustrating. One of those being Deb learning the truth about Dexter. So Deb in the books, spoiler alert from the books, skip 5 seconds if you don't want to know. Deb in the books knows that Dexter is a killer at the end of the book. And then that is a through line throughout the rest of the books. And the show, she doesn't.
Right.
At all. Until like season, I think 7, end of 7, beginning of 8. And it just becomes this kind of, she really spirals, and it just becomes really grating and frustrating and blah.
So which works best? Her knowing from the outset, or
her knowing worked. Her knowing in the books works really well. The way the show handled her knowing didn't work well.
Right.
And then the end of the show, it's end of the show, so they're doing that typical end of show thing where they're killing everybody off, and they're all this kind of nonsense. And Dexter, Deborah dies, and he rides his boat off into a hurricane, and then the next, then we get a post-credit scene where Dexter is he's in a log cabin on being a lumberjack somewhere, and that's where we leave him. So he's not dead, he's still out there, and that's where we leave. A lot of people were not happy with his ending for various reasons. I never hated it, but I never loved it either. It could have been stronger. And therefore, when Dexter New Blood was announced, where Clyde Phillips and others who were involved with the show were going to come back and give the show the ending they felt it deserved, I thought, I am interested.
Yeah, I was sort of aware that. So is the one where he becomes a lumberjack season 8?
He doesn't. He's not a lumberjack in the season, but he at the very end of season 8 in a post-credit scene, he is. We see him alive in some.
So I was vaguely aware that the ending of season 8 was predominantly considered pretty weak. So. And then it comes back. It comes back with the original showrunner.
Yes, so New Blood comes back with the original people involved, and Clancy Brown is the villain. And I'm not going to say anything about that or spoil that one if you haven't seen it. Fantastic. I love it. It's a great. It brought Dexter back to what Dexter needed to be in a brand new location. He's not working for the cops. He's in a completely different scenario, but what they do with that and how they bring Dexter to a conclusion was, in my opinion, much stronger than what the original show did. And obviously from Resurrection maybe gives it away. At the end of New Blood, spoiler alert, his son, Harrison, shoots and kills Dexter. Right? And it's a big moment, and it's kind of this moment of relief, even like almost for a relief for Dexter himself. To finally come to an end of this journey that he's always sort of known this would be his end. He's always waiting to be arrested. He's always waiting to be given the electric chair. He's always waiting for this. And his son doing the deed was something that was, it was poetic, and I liked it.
Yeah.
Now, right after New Blood came out, then Paramount starts sending around surveys. Hey, would you like to see a show starring Harrison Morgan? Hey, do you want to see more Dexter Morgan? And I thought, oh no. His body isn't even in the dirt yet. It's still warm.
Yeah, let him die.
Let him die. Oh no. Oh no. And then 2 things were announced. Dexter Original Sin, which was a prequel series set in Miami in the 90s when Dexter is just joined the Miami Metro and he's just starting out as a serial killer and all that kind of stuff. And then they announced Dexter Resurrection. Michael C. Hall is back. He's coming back. Dexter's not dead. And you're like, oh no.
Oh no. Yeah, I mean,
is this going to work or is this not?
Yeah, you shouldn't really do this, but just the word resurrection makes me go, oh no.
Yes.
Just the idea that somebody's been killed off and they're going to come back. It's my default position is it's all like whichever Ewing brother it was came back in Dallas in the shower.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It just thinks, how are you going to do this?
Yeah.
I remember as in my mid-20s maybe, watching Halloween. They brought back Jamie Lee Curtis for a Halloween film, and I think it's H2O. She ends it by decapitating Michael Myers. And no sooner are the credits finished rolling than you read Halloween Resurrection will be in theaters next year. And you think, his head's been cut off. How are you going to do this? And what they do is ridiculous. But just that, so I would be. I think the point I'm making is I would feel like you did if I'd watched Dexter as religiously. They're bringing him. Oh no.
Yeah.
And it starts you off on a negative foot straight away for me.
It can do. Then I was torn because I love Dexter and I love Michael C. Hall as Dexter. So I thought there's a part of me it's like, oh no, but then I'm like, but maybe, but oh no, but maybe, oh no, and then I watched Original Sin, which I think the guy playing Dexter in that, his name I can't remember, he's pretty good. I don't really care for Christian Slater as Dexter's adopted dad, Harry Morgan, and the girl playing Deborah is a very poor pastiche of Deborah. She's not doing Deborah well, and I get why they have this show. It allows them. It would allow them to get probably 10 seasons out of this if they really wanted, leading it up to Dexter, the actual show. They could easily do that, because it's set so far in the past. But also, everyone knows Dexter as the Miami homicide, blood spatter guy. He is Michael C. Hall's version of Dexter can never return to that. He can never return to Miami Metro and carry on doing the things that he did with the tools that he had.
No.
So how do we relive that? Well, Original Sin is the answer to that. We do a prequel series where we can go back to Miami and do all of that stuff. And then we can carry on old Dexter this way. And this is sort of why I'm like, this is why these 2 shows exist simultaneously. Nuts. 2 Dexter shows at the same time.
Yeah, that is crazy.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, that would be like having Endeavour on while Morse was still running. You think, what the hell are we watching here? Which is which?
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes. And the hiccup is that Original Sin starts off with the end of Resurrection, or the end of New Blood, where he's shot. And Dexter says, your whole life flashes before your eyes when you die. And that's sort of your narrative device. Well, he's alive now. So what's the excuse for Dexter Original Sin Season 2?
Yeah, good point.
We'll see.
What is?
We'll see. So
we'll see.
Episode 1 and 2 released July 11th, yesterday on Paramount Plus, and we watched them both. It was a 2-episode premiere, so we thought, hey, they've dropped 2 episodes. They didn't drop a whole season, so the first 2 episodes are kind of, they're a 2-parter. You need to watch them both to get the whole picture of what's to come. So we watched both episodes.
We watched both. We watched both.
What's your take on these couple of episodes based on what you said? You're watching it for the story. You're not watching it for its connections to the other shows because you haven't.
I'm not
watched
watching it for I'm not watching it for the ins and outs I'm watching it primarily to see if it's well made, and I'm watching it primarily to see if it spurs me to go and revisit Dexter and watch it, all the way through, including the prequels and all the whole world of Dexter. Does it make me want to go back into the whole world of Dexter? There was one moment that really sealed it for me, and it's right at the end.
Okay.
Of the second episode. Do you want me to mention what that is now?
Yeah. We jump all around.
So he ends up in New York, and at the end of the second episode of this new series, he decides that there's someone who's taken on one of his aliases.
Yes.
And he says,
he calls his nasty side, the side that urges him to kill, has always been called the Dark Passenger.
The Dark Passenger. And
there's a new serial killer in New York who's attacking essentially Uber and Lyft like drivers.
Yeah, and
he dubbed the Dark Passenger.
The Dark Passenger. And what Dexter the Dark Passenger is going to kill a taxi driver, and Dexter saves him from it.
Yes.
And his dad, who's acting like his conscience, says, "When did you start caring about people?"
Mm.
And he says, I can't remember the exact line, but essentially he says, like, from now, because, and then in voiceover he says, New York is a big city, but it's not big enough for two dark passengers, essentially.
Yeah.
So he's going to reclaim his mantle.
Yeah.
And he looks at the camera.
Yeah.
And winks. Well, it doesn't wink, but I thought he's going to wink. If he winks, I'll lose my shit, I thought.
Yes.
And it ends there. And I thought to myself, I've got chills now. I thought to myself, if I'd watched and invested in 8-9 seasons, whatever it is, of this, and I got that scene, i.e., I'm back.
Yeah.
I would be screaming my head off and cheering.
Yeah.
And in that, I'd enjoyed it. I'd enjoyed both episodes. But in that moment, I'm going back to season 1, episode 1.
Yeah.
Tonight to start again.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It was you've not seen Twin Peaks, have you? But there's a moment in Twin Peaks came back for a third series after 25 years. And there's a bit in it where Dale Cooper, is the FBI agent, has been in essentially like a sort of coma. That's the easiest way of explaining it.
Yeah.
And at the end, somebody says, wait a minute, he comes out of this coma, and he's the Dale Cooper that you remember from 25 years ago suddenly. And somebody says to him, well, don't we need to get the FBI? And he looks at him and he says, I am the FBI. And I lost my mind. I was cheering like loudly at the TV because it was such a good moment. And this, I suspect, is the Dexter equivalent.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I thought, I've missed out on something. That's how it made me feel, because I'm sort of in on the joke now. I'm sort of having the emotion I'm meant to have, but it's not deep enough because I've not been invested for as long as I should have been. So it's served its purpose, because I'm gonna dive right back into this series. So for that alone, this series is, for that ending of the second episode, I'm all on for this.
Sure. I'm with you. Most of the way. I think, I was oh no when they announced Resurrection because the way New Blood ends, there's so many things that I'm like, I don't know how they're going to logically explain and get him out of certain situations in a way that is acceptable and doesn't feel lazy. And a couple of those things you would have seen in the recap, and that is towards the end of New Blood, slight spoiler, right? But I got to bring it into the discussion because it's important, right?
Yeah.
Dexter is his girlfriend that he's been dating is the chief of the sheriff or whatever. And her name's Angela, and she essentially finds out through her investigating that who Dexter really is. He's been calling himself Jeff Lindsay this whole time, and then finds out that he's actually Dexter Morgan, who is actually the Bay Harbor Butcher, which is what he was called in the original show. Who he then framed Dokes for being the Bay Harbor Butcher. She then calls Batista down in Miami Metro and says, Dexter's alive. He's here. He's the Bay Harbor Butcher. Get your ass up here now. And it's a great little scene in New Blood. Oh, it's a nice little Batista, a couple of Batista moments. And, the show ends knowing that he's going to come up there to get him. But in the meantime, Dexter is now panicking. He kills an innocent man, this cop named Logan, in order to get out and get away. Now, Dexter doesn't really kill innocent people, and I think there's been a few times maybe he's done some kills which he shouldn't have done, but what he did in killing this character Logan was beyond the code, beyond acceptance, beyond okay, which meant when he died, it's like, yeah, you probably need to kill him because I don't know if he can be redeemed from that. And despite resurrection, that to me is still a thing that looms over the character. They gloss over it really quickly in this one. The other one of the cops comes in and he's like, hey, he's a bit of a podunk guy. He's like, hey, by the way, because Dexter's been in a coma for weeks and weeks and weeks. He goes, oh, hey, Angela wanted me to give you this, and it's a picture of her and her daughter, and says, we're even, go away, never come back. And basically she's covered for Dexter. She's covered for Dexter. She's covered for Harrison. She says that she's the one who shot him. She says that Logan attacked him, which is why he killed Logan, the other cop, and blamed Clancy Brown's death on this other character, his son. It's all sort of, it's a bit of sort of, I don't know, exposition gymnastics to sort of let's quickly get this out of the way so that we have him alive. We hit it, okay, all set up, but the threat isn't gone, and I appreciate that. And that is Batista comes up, and I love these scenes with Batista. When he's up there and he's questioning, he's like, man, what the fuck happened? Where did you been gone for 30, 20 years? What the hell, man? Wants to find out what happened to Deb, all this kind of stuff. Really, really puts him on the spot. And you begin to feel that, okay, good. What they were doing in New Blood isn't totally gone. It's not completely forgotten. There is a sense of danger, following Dexter around. They gloss over some of the other stuff because otherwise he would be in jail. And it was so funny. He would say, my wife would watch, she'd be like, why isn't he in jail? And then Dexter on screen would be like, why am I not in jail? And I'm like, the show is aware, and I at least will respect the show for being aware and answering the questions okay enough to let me get on with it and carry on with where we're going to go next and not be annoyed by the retcons.
Yeah, and that's very difficult to pull off, I think.
Yes, they just pulled it off. Not perfectly.
No. Because there was another point, and I'm not by any way or stretch of the imagination scientifically minded enough to know if this is even remotely plausible.
Oh, how he survived?
Yeah, the snow lowers your heart rate so that your blood doesn't pump as. Is that true?
Probably because it's so cold. So when he's shot, it's like we're talking upstate New York. It's sub-zero temperatures.
Right.
So
does it have that effect on your body? Does it make your heart rate slower?
Yeah, the cold will.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. Cold will make your heart rate can make it's like like you put people in like cryostasis and stuff like that. You put you bring the temperature down.
Oh yeah, I suppose.
So it's a plausible enough explanation for how he could have got out of that situation that looked unsurvivable.
I mean, well, exactly. I mean, I didn't, like I said, I've just no scientific bones in my body, but it's delivered by that doctor with such aplomb that I
Yes,
just went,
yes. Okay.
okay.
Yeah. The doctor said it. I believe it.
Yeah, exactly. And I just thought, all right, okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
And and you think, only later did I think, is that true? Can that work? But I admire the guts of the show, that it can take all these points and just sort of say them and move on.
Yes.
And if you, I've mentioned Halloween already. I'm going to mention it again. There's a bit in the first Halloween where somebody says, "How on earth is Michael Myers going to get to this little town that Donald Pleasence thinks he's going to go to when he can't drive a car because he's been incarcerated since he was 6?" And Donald Pleasence just says, "He was doing very well last night. Maybe somebody gave him lessons." And that's the film just saying, "There you go. We know this is a plot point. Deal with it."
Yes.
And I had a similar thought to this. It's done with such prowess, such sort of gutsy, not caring.
Yes.
That you have no option but to buy it. I thought it was brilliant. That,
I mean, you compare this resurrection scene to BBC Sherlock when they couldn't explain how Sherlock fell off a building and died.
Yeah. Well, the problem with that is they were too arrogant. They said no one's going to guess how he did it, and the internet said, "I think it's the squash ball and the laundry truck."
Yeah,
and they'll have been there thinking, "Oh shit, they've guessed it straight away." So they then had to sort of say, "Well, how can we mask it so that we?" And they come up with the bullshit that they came up with.
Yeah.
So, but the thing about a ridiculous, we'll take Sherlock. When Conan Doyle does it, he does what Dexter Resurrection does. He just says, "This is the explanation. Like, take it or leave it." I climbed up the waterfall and I went to Tibet. What's the problem? If you if you pour over it and dissect it, all you're doing is revealing how ludicrous it is.
Yeah,
and that's what BBC Sherlock did, and that's what Resurrection does so well. It just does that Halloween thing of saying, "We need to get over this, and you need to come with us." So we're just going to say, "The cold stop your heart." Okay.
I'm in. Okay, I'm in. I'm in.
Yeah.
Got me. You got me.
And now, we'll get an actor who can deliver that line so well.
Yes,
one of the best delivered lines I've come across in ages. That you just buy every word.
You do. Jack Alcott plays Harrison Morgan, Dexter's son. He was fantastic in New Blood. He really, really excellent, and he is fantastic in this as well. I loved and was so invested in what was happening with his character in these first 2 episodes. His sort of, when he's everything from his intro to like he's living in these hotel rooms because he's got no money, and he's he's got to save up, and so his friend is letting him crash in rooms that are vacant, but they're gonna go clean or something. And he starts by leaving the room, going down the service elevator, taking out the trash, eating a spare burrito that they made, going around the building, and then coming back inside as if he's just turned up for work.
Yeah. That's great.
I like it. I dig it.
I mean, I didn't know anything about Harrison. Obviously, made the point. I didn't know anything about Harrison, so I'm coming to this completely fresh, and I love that bit as well. And I love the bit when that manager says, what's the motto of the hotel, and that is being on time is being late. Whatever it is. And I was thinking, okay, this is good. This is a wise kid. And then there's the hotel killing, and my God, I was invested in that because my horror vibe, my love of horror fiction and horror films really sort of woke up in that scene, because that is fabulous. That is fabulous.
Yes,
the way it's choreographed, the way it's shot, it's just brilliant. It's a superb kill.
It's visceral. Yeah, it was shocking. I mean, there's plenty of shocking deaths throughout Dexter, but this was extra shocking because this was Harrison's first kill.
Yeah.
He was
Right,
sort of
right, yeah.
involved in some stuff in New Blood, but he didn't follow in his dad's footsteps in that show. Here, he had to, and he's doing it's a different kind of principle to what Dexter would do. He storms into that room and he pulls the guy off. They get into a fight and he bashes his head in with the back of a toilet.
The cistern.
Yeah, jeez. And then saves the girl.
Yeah, yeah. I was proper into that. That satisfied my fictional bloodlust. So
yes.
like more than enough.
Yes. Yes.
And so you can tell me. So this is Harrison's first kill.
Mm.
So does it feel? Is it a good payoff for the character to date as he's been built up?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah.
I'd say so because it's there's this sort of back and forth in New Blood as to is he like Dexter, or is he not like Dexter? And he has these tendencies. And the problem, the overall problem with Dexter is that Dexter himself is a lunatic. He's a nut job. Literally, his adopted dad, Harry Morgan, made Dexter into what he is. He could have done things to not make Dexter a serial killer, but so you sort of feel like, wow, Dexter is the creation of Harry. Harry is a bad dad who then makes Dexter into a bad dad. Allowing Dexter to think what he's doing is okay and something he should pass on to his son. It's a bit bonkers, but and Harrison sort of struggles with it in New Blood, and seeing it come out fully here, it's like, oh god, and he does. He follows in Dexter's footsteps in a way that's like, well, he knows this is what his dad would have done, and this is how he knows how to do this stuff and get rid of the body. But he obviously makes some mistakes. The body is found. Dexter realizes this is probably where his son is. He's going to go to New York and see if he can find him and protect him from the shadows. And
well, I loved that bit as well. I mean, so Harrison's the murder that he commits satisfied the horror side of me, but then Dexter does a really good bit of Holmes-like deduction.
Yes,
with the shower curtain. The shower curtain's old, but the hooks are new or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was thinking, God, yeah, this is now satisfying the crime fiction side of me.
Yes. Yeah.
Really,
it was nice to see Dexter back in that environment.
Doing the sort of deductive.
I miss him doing that stuff, and there is elements of it in New Blood for sure. But and again, this is why Original Sin exists, because Dexter in those crime scenes, it's what's brilliant stuff. And yeah.
I mean, I must have seen him do it in the early seasons, but I didn't remember well enough. Don't remember him well enough. But it was just really good to see him do that sort of stuff and working it out.
Yeah,
and imagining it. It was just a great little sequence, and then of course it's interrupted by people arriving.
Let's talk about those people. The two people who come into the room are the New York City cops who are investigating the body and the connection to the hotel. And one of them is, her name is Claudette, and the other one is named Melvin. Claudette is played by Katia Saraf, and Melvin, the character of Melvin Olivia, is played by Dominic Famusa. If there is a weak point in the show so far, it's these two.
It's two. Yeah, I agree.
And kind of like what we were saying with Ballard, if you have too many comic relief people, what's the point? Harrison has the gag where he's listening to music. And that kind of centers him. And I like that because I'm like that. I'm always, if I can listen to music, it helps me focus. If I'm out and about, if I'm doing something that's, not, like writing, music helps me focus. So I dug that. The problem is this Claudette character does the exact same shtick. And ironically, they play Staying Alive, which was in Sherlock.
Yeah.
It made me think of Sherlock. And I'm like, don't do
that.
this song, please.
when that happened in Sherlock, I just thought, my God, we're lost.
Yes. Now, the big intro scene for this Claudette is they're over by the garbage bags where the body pieces are found. She puts her headphones on, and the Melvin character says, "Stand back, let her do her thing." And I'm just like, and I know that they've done this with Dexter. I know they like Dexter, like, you're really good at this stuff. What's your sense on it? Do your thing. But it's like, well, it's too gimmicky. There's too much of the same things happening. She's this combination of being able to do what Dexter could do and to survey a scene, to make deductions, but she's also listening to music, which is what Harrison is doing, and she's this weird amalgamation. And I'm like, I'm sort of losing interest in this quirky other person who's super smart.
Yeah, we don't need him.
No,
we don't need him. I mean, I can take it for granted that obviously that the cops will investigate these murders. I don't need to see them do it in this.
Yeah.
I need to see is what Dexter and Harrison are doing.
Yeah.
It's their story. This was my take from it. I didn't care about either of these two detectives at all.
No.
The minute they came in the room, it could have cut away. For me. And I don't know if they're going to be in it all the way through. I suspect they are.
I suspect they will be. Yes.
Yeah, but I just don't think they're needed. You don't need. It's a bit like just because we've mentioned BBC Sherlock. Just do that. You don't need to see what Lestrade's investigation is doing.
Mm-hmm.
Who cares? You want to see what Holmes is doing, and it's the same here. The cops will be investigating. I get it. Don't need to see him do it.
For me, the problem is that they're too far removed from Dexter. Whereas in the original show, well, all these cops are his colleagues, so it makes sense to follow.
Yeah, that's another point. Of course, yeah.
In New Blood, he's dating the sheriff.
Yeah,
it makes sense to follow and be invested in their lives. These two are just two cops who I'm interested in Batista. I was thinking, hey, Dexter just got himself a license. You should be able to track Dexter now. You should be able to find out if he got a license in New York City. What's Batista doing? What's his investigation? Go back to Batista. Go back to David Zayas. I want him.
Yeah, absolutely. And I even on this viewing, I felt the same.
Yeah,
these could be. They don't need names. These two. They just need to be obvious New York detectives.
Yeah,
and you can do that. You can do that with costume. And a warrant card. I don't care.
Yeah,
these are a weak point. Yeah, how much of a weak point they continue to be, time will tell.
In terms of discussing our thoughts for the series going forward, there are concerns because if you've seen the trailers and things like that, basically Dexter gets pulled into a organization of serial killers, a sort of Avengers like a serial killers like organization run by Peter Dinklage's character named Leon. We are introduced to Uma Thurman's Charlie, who from her introduction, I'm like, all right, let's see what happens.
I'm all on for Uma Thurman, yeah, definitely.
I'm interested. Let's see what happens. But there is this thing of like, are they going too big, too cartoony, too soon with this? Now we have, because Dexter always was playing off some other psychopath every single season. That's just always the gimmick. But now he's got it's like, okay, well he's got one every season. Well, this time we'll give him a whole team of okay.
Handle
Jury's
this carefully.
out, but
yeah.
So will it be a crowded season because you've got all of these other serial killers plus these two detectives? I'm assuming Batista will continue to pop up throughout this whole thing. Plus Dexter's trying to kill this dark passenger. Plus Dexter is needing to connect with his son
and Harrison.
Solve that problem.
Yeah, that's a lot in it.
Yeah, 2 excellent episodes. But when you know what else is coming and you have 8 episodes left, there is that little bit of worry.
So I said about Ballard, 10 hours you've got to tell this story.
Yeah.
Let it breathe.
Yeah.
This I'm starting to think you've only got 10 hours.
But yes. Yeah.
To tell all this stuff,
Yeah.
So And I think at least one of those stories could go. Quite frankly,
we'll see how they develop and see which ones get sidetracked or get sort of pushed aside quickly. Yeah.
For me, it needs to concentrate on Dexter and Harrison and Dexter and the Dark Passenger.
Yeah.
Those to me are what matter. Everything else is pretty sort of window dressing.
My suspicion is that the guy that Harrison killed will be pushed aside, and the focus will then be on the police trying to find the Dark Passenger killer. And they'll think there'll be some probably connection that they think between those two.
Yeah, possibly.
That sounds like kind of,
it?
Yeah, that it's something like that will probably be the thing that happens. But then at the same time, who knows? Because Dexter's going to get involved with all these other serial killers, and is he going to be killing them the whole time? Are they going to have to be facing off against each other?
Yeah.
How far is this going to go? Who knows?
How far is it going to go?
Who knows?
Is he going to team up with one of them? Is he going to team up with him with Herman? Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
I mean, she's got potential. The Uma Thurman character's got potential.
Yes.
With that bat that she has, that's got nails in it.
Yeah. Jeez.
Again, the horror side of me was going, yeah, we want more of this.
Yes.
But I thought, I've said, it did what it was either going to persuade me to go and watch the others, or it was going to make me say, I don't think I've missed much. I don't think there was ever going to be any middle ground.
Yeah.
And when he looks at the camera and says New York's not big enough for the two of us, I was proper sold.
Yeah, same.
Proper sold.
Yeah.
So I'm much more likely to tune into this again than.
Yeah. We're back for more for Dexter Resurrection for sure. Ballard is the jury is still out for Ballard as to when and if we finish that one, but there was enough setup in this that's like, heck yeah, give me more.
Yeah, there's far more set up in this, and set up better, quite frankly, set up better.
Yeah.
My quandary is whether I stop watching this now and start from scratch, or whether I finish this and then go back and start. I'll probably do the latter. I'm not really worried about knowing the end of a story before.
Yeah. Well, you already know it, so I would.
Yeah. Absolutely.
What I would do if you want more Dexter, watch this as it's coming out, because that will determine if they do another season or not. Right.
Yeah. True.
So I would watch this as it comes out on a weekly basis, and that's the other thing that's nice. Weekly episodes. Yeah. We can sit here and digest them and discuss them, as opposed to like Ballard. All 10 are out now. I don't want to watch all 10 right now. God.
Or ever.
But Dexter Resurrection, I'm in. I'm in
for Dexter Resurrection. Definitely. I thought it was a great opener.
Yeah.
A great opening couple of episodes to what promises to be, or promises to have at least the potential to be, a pretty good TV series.
Yeah, because who I'm really interested to see is Kristen Ritter, the girl who plays Jessica Jones. She's another one of the serial killers, and I'm like, oh, okay.
And she's got a great name. She goes something like Lady Vengeance.
Something like that. Yeah.
I think, I'm on for that.
Yes. I want to see what's up with her. Her and Uma Thurman are the two that I'm the most interested in. Everyone else,
interested in. Absolutely.
I'm like, I can, we'll see what happens. But those two, I'm excited to see what their characters are,
what they do,
and what they do,
who they are. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And of course, the other question is, will something bad happen to Blessing? The character, the guy who plays the character Blessing, the other cab driver.
The cab driver, yeah.
The black guy who he goes and he's renting his flat, the flat that they have under their house. Will something bad happen? Because there's always someone good who always gets screwed over by their association with Dexter.
Yeah.
And I'll be sad if something bad happens to Blessing, because he seems so nice and his family seems so nice.
Well, I agree, but you sort of think, got to, really? Surely?
Or maybe they save him.
I don't know how I feel about that. That would have to depend. I'm not like I'm all for people that you like being killed off. I think it's
I am
healthy.
I am too.
I'm also often relieved that they're not. I
Yeah.
can go both ways on that, but it depends how well it's handled. Whatever decision they make, it depends how it's handled.
Yeah.
If he gets a death that befits him, if you know what I mean, then I can buy it. But if he gets a death he doesn't deserve, that'll be really bad.
Yeah.
But I'm excited to find out how it progresses. I am not excited to find out how Ballard progresses.
No.
That's the contrast between the two.
Yeah. So I think what we can do is maybe, I don't know, maybe when we're four more episodes down the line, we can reconvene.
Yeah. Well, at the halfway point.
Yeah.
At the halfway point. Yeah.
See what's going on, and then we can
it's going.
Come back.
Definitely.
Yeah. Cool. Well, any other final points on Dexter or Ballard or anything else on the horizon that you're interested in seeing? Certainly not Superman.
I was going to say I was quite not excited, but I was fascinated to see what Superman was like. But based on what I've heard so far, I might save myself the money, if not the time, and I'll wait for it to come out on TV. Because it has to be really special to get me into a cinema these days, I'm afraid.
Yeah, that is smart. That is smart. Yeah, don't waste your time. Don't waste your time. Well, no. I guess if other than that, I mean that we can wrap this special investigation up. So yeah, thanks for listening. Like, subscribe, comment, share your thoughts. Did you enjoy Ballard? Did you enjoy Dexter Resurrection so far? Let us know. Talk to us on Twitter, Facebook, in the comments, wherever
recommend
you are.
stuff to us. Recommend stuff to us. Anything you think we should be watching or covering.
Yeah. But yeah, otherwise we will be back soon. The new schedule, the new season of Mean Streets will begin in just a few weeks. Where we're back with new ongoing episodes after our little summer hiatus here. So you don't have long to wait. And we're back with a banger. But we're
back with a banger. I was just gonna say we're back with a banger. So
yeah, coolio. All right, everyone. Well, enjoy your day, night, week,
enjoy your day,
whatever,
your evening,
we'll see you,
whatever time of day it is.
Yeah, we'll see you later. Just want to give a quick shout out to our paying patrons. We have Steve from the Boxing Movie Podcast.
We have Garm 1981.
And we have Gregory Sandoval. They are our initial ground floor patrons. So if you want to join Mean Streets and become a patron and get access to cool perks, make sure you head over to our Patreon page and subscribe today for as low as $1 a month.